Hello, gorgeous souls, and welcome back to my channel. I am Kat, artist, coach, founder of Create Magazine, and lately I've been just calling myself an unlimited creator because I love to make all the things. One of the biggest topics that's been coming up from you all in my Instagram comments is, can I talk about manifestation? Can I talk about my spiritual journey and what it means to really get the desires that we have into our physical reality? And I absolutely love this topic, and I actually recently got certified through Yes Supply Method. Shout out to Reese, shout out to Steph, and shout out to Olga, all the amazing coaches. And I wanted to share a few things because before I even knew what the hell manifesting was, I was doing it. And you are doing it too. Manifesting is just living. And there's a lot of topics and teachers and gurus out there that discuss it, but at the end of the day, it's our basic human right. And our human brain is actually able to take a vision, take a desire, and somehow create it, reverse engineer it, bring it into our lives. And that's really exciting. So how is this relevant to artists and to being creatives? Well, we kind of already do that all the time. We literally have an idea or something that we saw that we want, and we turn it and we put it on the canvas or in a sculpture or a 3D print it or make an NFT, right? So as artists, we're very familiar with manifesting. And the same way that you're able to bring an artwork to life is the same way you can actually bring success, sales, collectors, and opportunities to your life as well. The process is not different. And the more we can understand that we are the creators, the co-creators of our lives, that is, makes life so much easier. It makes life more fun, and it makes us understand that every part of our existence is part of this beautiful divine process. Now, to actually put that into practice is a lot more challenging than just saying it on a YouTube video. And it has been definitely a journey for me, a journey of faith, a journey of believing. And this video is not to load you up with any of my personal beliefs, but because I get asked all the time, I will tell you that I do believe in God. I am more of a spiritual person. I don't have a specific denomination or anything like that I'm attached to. But I do believe that manifestation is so real. And there's a lot of biblical evidence. There's a lot of evidence from other religions as well. So if you like that, take a deep dive in. And even more so, there's a ton of scientific research. And in my certification through Yes Supply, we got to know how the brain actually processes reality, how it sees the world, and how it does not know the difference between real and imagined. So that's something really cool. So how do you manifest something into your life? Let's just say you really want to have an exhibition and you don't know how to make it happen. The first thing is to get really clear on your desire. 5 years ago, I wrote down on a piece of paper that I want to show my art in London, Paris, and New York. And mind you, I didn't really have a very strong attachment to any of those cities. Of course, I love them. I think they're beautiful, but I haven't even been to those places. So I just had this desire, and I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where these things come from, but I wrote it down, and it was one of my big goals. I had a huge list of goals that I wanted to achieve. And so I kind of forgot about it. I had the list, I looked at it often. I had some other things that I was actively working on, such as my big income goal, because at the time of writing that down, I was barely making $30,000 a year and I was really struggling. And so I just was moving on, building my business, making art, showing art, and so and so. And now this was 6 years later. I even wrote a tweet about it. I'm going to post this to you. I was like crying because I was at the airport on my way to Paris for my first show in Paris. It was such an amazing experience. And I have another show coming up actually in a few months that I'm going to be making new work for. But it was such an emotional moment for me to connect. The moment I wrote this down, I let it go. I let God, universe do its thing. And I was just showing up, becoming the person that has this kind of show. I'm getting chill, getting goosebumps as I'm sharing this with you. So I want you to, when you're dreaming and when you're getting clear on the desire, which is the first step of manifesting, I want you to let go of any doubt that you have. Because I'm sorry, but if an immigrant girl working at Capital One making like 40,000 a year can manifest a show in Paris, you, my friend, can do anything that you put your heart to. I didn't say mind, I said heart. It's all a heart thing, okay? Like, we really have to allow our soul to dream, because our brain is going to come up with, our ego is going to say, who are you to do this? And that's not possible. How are you going to support yourself? And then there might be other silly practical fears that might come into your brain that will like force you to talk yourself out of it. Like, how am I going to ship my work there? Or what if no one buys it? Stuff like that. So ignore all those thoughts, or acknowledge them and honor them. They're there to protect you. And then free write. Just dream as big as you possibly can, bigger than you're comfortable with. When you're uncomfortable with the dream and it's so big and so scary, that's the one. And it can be really emotional and it can be uncomfortable. So if you need support, of course, reach out to someone, a close friend, a therapist, a coach, to help you through this process. So the next step to manifesting is, of course, there's many different pathways there, but I would say is to identify the person who already has this result. So for example, if you want to manifest a studio, what does this person do that has a beautiful art studio? Well, they probably generate a certain amount of revenue or income a month to be able to afford it. They probably went and visited a few studio buildings and networked and figured out where to be. And they probably are already disciplined in creating the work so they can just transfer their process to the space. Identity is a big topic, and I could literally make 20,000 YouTube videos about it, which I'm sure I will share with you eventually. And then, part of manifesting is taking inspired action. And taking inspired action comes usually after we identify the limiting beliefs. This is when our ego starts screaming. It was every time I leveled up, every time I had an international show, every time I invested in this beautiful studio, every time I would buy a car, be like, oh, you're not going to be able to afford that. How are you going to do this? Or even just dreaming, when I made a decision that I was going to grow a massive media company, which I'm in the process of putting it out there in the universe, a lot of fears came up, like, when am I going to have time to paint? Or how is this going to get done? Or I don't know anything about the media. But those are all limiting beliefs, and I encourage you to write them out on a piece of paper. What if no one likes my art, for example, comes up? What if no one wants to show my art? Well, there's literally over 8 billion people in the world. You cannot tell me that all of them don't like your art, that you're not special. There's going to be someone that likes your art, and you are very special. But we're not special in a way that we're excluded from all the possibilities and all the opportunities that are available to us. You know what I'm saying? So maybe your limiting belief is that you can never travel because, the international audience might not understand your work. That's definitely a limiting belief. I've had that one. Or that you are not going to be able to generate enough money from your art. Is that really true? And then looking at examples out there in the world that can disprove those limiting beliefs. So a big one for me has been, I'll get personal with you. One of my limiting beliefs that haunted me for the past few years has been, I can't be multi-passionate. I can't be a successful artist, coach, and entrepreneur. But I started to see examples of people who were. Started to look at people like Marie Forleo and Gary Vee and Amanda Francis and Champagne Dyed, Kara Allwell, a lot of my coaches that are. I'm obviously attracted to them for a reason. And so I started to really unravel this limiting belief and recognize that it wasn't serving me. It was holding me. First of all, it was keeping me really small. It was holding me in a jail cell where I felt like I had to pigeonhole myself into doing one thing, which that's not me. It's not who I am. I want to do all things. And then I had to see what kind of systems to stay organized and actually get things done do these successful people have. There's tons of other examples. There's tons of artists who are multi-passionate, Lisa Condon is an example that comes to mind. Jealous Curator is another one. So just understanding that I'm not a unicorn. There are other people like me, and they have found ways to manage their many, many passions, and so can I. So in your case, I encourage you to journal on what's coming up for you. What are you afraid when it comes to that desire that you have for your life? And then, of course, after you identify the limiting beliefs and make a commitment to work on them, because it's not a once and done thing. Trust me, I'm still dealing with some of mine. There's tons of tools available: journaling, meditation, therapy, of course, medical professional help if it's a really trauma-based one, EFT, hypnosis, tons of ways to reprogram our minds available for free on YouTube. So check it out. There's tons. If you're interested in reprogramming your mind, check out my certification program, Yes Supply. They have tons of videos for you there. And then taking that inspired action. Taking that inspired action means that we make the art. If we're manifesting an art show and we continue showing up day after day, even when nothing is happening, even when we get a million no's, even when no one buys our artwork initially, we show up and we believe that it's still going to happen, even when it's past the deadline and it still didn't happen. I'm a big fan of setting achievable outcomes and setting dates to my goals, but that doesn't mean that we give up on our dream or our manifestation when it doesn't happen right away. There have been many times where things didn't happen on my timeline. So I always say apparently time is a human-made construct anyway, so I am leaning fully on God when it comes to timing. He knows, they know, it knows more than I can ever comprehend. My limited mind cannot see the past, future, and all the things going on behind the scenes in the universe. So I trust the process, even though sometimes it's really freaking hard. And sometimes I'm full of doubt and tears and fear. But nonetheless, faith is moving forward despite the doubt, despite the fear, and despite the uncertainty that life has, right? And finally, usually when you forget all about it, experience your manifestation. So for me, it was 6 years later, one of my big manifestations, the Paris show. That was really cool, and it was way better than I imagined. So please know that whatever you're dreaming, it's going to be better than what you wrote down, because your brain cannot possibly comprehend the magic and the love, the unconditional love and grace of this universe. So I was very emotional. I got to my hotel room, there were roses, and I just really felt loved and supported and seen. So I want you to have the same, a better experience. I want you to have the perfect experience in your realm. So there you have it. That's just a general overview of manifesting. So how does that help you when it comes to building an art career? Well, you can apply this to any part of your journey. So if you're someone who's never sold an artwork before, maybe your next manifestation is to experience what it would be like to sell something. And I encourage you to start with something. Not that I want you to lower your dream or make it smaller by any means, but I want you to start believing that this process works, believing that the universe truly has your back and God is supporting you every step of the way by trying this on something believable. Like maybe you want to sell a tiny 5-inch mini painting or a print, because our brain will then say, haha, well, I can do this. I can sell a small thing. Can I sell a big 5-foot painting like this one? And then stretch it from there. And you can do this incrementally. Now, the other thing is really important is to understand that the experience is the same for your brain. So that's why it's really important when you are doing your goal setting to get really specific. So for example, don't just say I want to sell an artwork. Write down, I want to sell an artwork for X amount, or I want to sell 5 artworks. Get really specific, because your subconscious mind absorbs information literally. It will literally accept what you're saying as a fact, and it will start doing the work. Which is why when we learn about manifesting money, for example, it's really important to get clear on the amount, which is something I'm learning, because when you say, oh, I want to make more money, you're going to find a penny and your brain will be like, done, we did it. And so that's not specific enough for it. You got to give it some numbers so that it knows. A great question that I learned in my coaching certification is, how will you know when you experience this result? Literally, like, what will you see? What will you hear? What will you smell? What will you taste? How will you feel emotionally? Try to understand where you're going with using all your senses, all the ways that you perceive the world. I'm so excited for your journey. Please leave a comment and let me know, what are you currently manifesting in your life or art career? I love this process so much, even though it is very abstract and some people might think it's woo-woo, but really it's just creating a vision and moving towards it, using faith, using practical things like showing up and actually doing the work. And one more tip before I let you go today is, when you set the goal, the way that you show up is really important. So for example, if I say, oh, I want to have a show in the MoMA, but when I come to the studio, I say, oh, my work sucks, no one's going to want this. That's not the identity of the artist that shows at the moment. That person knows what they're doing is so important. They know what they're sharing with the world through their art, through their words, through their presence, just by mere existing is valuable. So when they show up in the studio, I'm sure they have moments of doubt. I don't mean that, but I'm sure they are just so passionate and purpose-driven that the doubt has to take a back seat. So remember that you are already the person that's going to experience your biggest dreams. So when you're showing up and you're creating or posting or sharing online, do it from the perspective of it already being done. It's already yours, it's already done, and it's on its way to you. And trust that it's coming. Thanks so much for watching. I love making these videos for you after I'm done creating, because this world is meant to be enjoyed and lived to the fullest, and it is my mission to support fellow creatives on their path so that you can have an amazing experience as well. Let me know in the comments what you're manifesting. I'd love to hear from you. Tag me on Instagram, and don't forget to download my free resource for how to sell art on Instagram and grow your audience. I made this PDF for you, and I hope that you enjoy it and it helps you on your path. I love you, and I'll see you soon.